Hey Liz, how you doing?
Hey, thanks.
You're welcome. Well, welcome to the Next Level Supply Chain podcast, everyone. As you can tell, this is not our normal situation, and we have a new episode, and we're doing it in a new way today.
Yeah, we are. This episode is centered around one of our main stage experiences at GS1 Connect. It was called Back from the Future, the Innovations That Shape 2050.
And the idea behind this is simple but ambitious. What if we were to look forward at 2050 and see the way that industry solved the problems that we have today? Looking back, how did we do it? And what do we need to start today to get there?
It wasn't a typical session. It was interactive. It was fast-moving and driven by big, bold what-if questions. The audience helped surface some of the most important challenges facing industry today, and futurist and forward-looking leaders responded in real time with ideas that really stretch conventional thinking.
And at the center of it all is a theme that we often talk about on our podcast, which is collaboration. And collaboration doesn't happen in silos. It happens with breakthroughs when industry comes together and leverages shared standards, shared goals, and shared data.
Absolutely. And in this episode, you'll hear from some of the most thought-provoking moments and perspectives from GS1 Connect.
So let's get into it.
So when you imagine the future, 25 years from now, I was actually thinking about this as we were preparing for the panel. I will likely be in a rocking chair sipping an Arnold Palmer by then. But if not, I'll still be on the stage, maybe bringing you the 2075 predictions at that point. But the question we're asking ourselves today is, what will it take to solve the challenges that we're wrestling with in supply chain? And what role will standards, innovation, and collaboration play in making the future real? That future is not built on one perspective alone. So we've created an interactive experience. I hope that some of you had the opportunity to go and visit our wall. We had an innovation wall this week. We called it Supply Chain Revolution. We had a team that was looking at all of the ideas you put on the wall. Over 50 ideas were submitted to that wall. And we also had a little bit of help from our friends at Copilot and Claude to give us some input on how we distilled those ideas into what led to this panel today. So you'll have an opportunity to weigh in, similar to some other panels. You can get your cell phone out and participate with us. But I want you to think boldly, I want you to think practically, and I want you to think about what future generations might thank us for doing right as they embark on Supply Chain 2050. So today, I couldn't do this alone. I'm joined by three fantastic panelists. So as I introduce them, please welcome to the stage Dr. Miguel Garcia. He's a research scientist at the MIT Center for Transportation and Logistics. We have Frederik Bohn, the Senior Director of Supply Chain Logistics and Advanced Manufacturing at the Plug and Play Tech Center, and Lisa Morales-Hellebo, who is the Managing GP and founder of REFASHIOND Ventures. Thank you. This is an exciting panel. One of the best things I love about this panel is you can't really hold anyone up here accountable for what happens 25 years from now. But we did admit there are probably recording devices out in the audience. And so if anyone comes back to you later, just claim this is the plague of the futurist, is failing big sometimes, but hopefully failing small and getting to embrace the pivot. So I wanted to start, if you tell us a little bit about yourselves, each of you, a little introduction, and kind of what set you on your innovation journey. Because when you're making bold predictions far beyond Horizon 3, you've got to, first of all, I think, have some passion for the legacy beyond the legacy you might leave. And secondly, you've got to be a big believer that there are new things we should be trying. So Frederik, please give us a little bit about you.
Yeah, thank you, Melanie. Thanks for having us here today. My name is Frederik Bohn. I lead the supply chain manufacturing practice at Plug and Play. Plug and Play is one of the largest corporate innovation platforms. GS1 US is a partner of ours. We also work on investing in new technologies. And I've been with the firm for a little over 8 years now. Before that, I worked in the startup domain out in Berlin, Germany. And it always attracted me, the solving of problems, to be an innovator. I worked at a couple of corporations through various internships, and it always boggled my mind what all these people were doing all day, just clocking in, clocking out, and nobody really seemed to make a massive difference. But when you then work with entrepreneurs that are passionate about some crazy problem that they're trying to solve, not everybody succeeds, right? The vast majority actually fail, but taking that risk and really you know, going all in to make a pun here in Vegas, is something that really always resonated with me, and that's why I love being in the innovation space.
Thank you. Lisa.
Hi there, I'm Lisa Morales-Hellebo, and I have 30 years in tech. I've known Melanie since, what, like 2011, something like that? I architected a contextual search engine for fashion way back in 2011. So I live in the future a little bit. We're just now starting to see contextual search engines thanks to the advent of AI. I also pioneered on-demand micro-manufacturing for Procter & Gamble in the first .com boom. That was across cosmetics, skincare, hair care, and fine fragrance. Nothing existed till you created it online post-purchase, so micro-factories are my jam. I am just obsessed with how supply chains are the foundation of every business in the world, and they make the $126 trillion GDP hum. So REFASHIOND invests in pre-seed, well, inception, pre-seed, and seed stage companies that are refashioning value chains to be better for people, planet, and profits, and we invest intentionally so 1 + 1 = 100. We can piece together the future-ready value chain of paradigm shifts that are just being born today, and we live in that primordial soup.
All right, Miguel.
So Miguel Rodriguez here. I'm a research scientist at MIT. I've been with them for almost 5 years now. I come from Spain. And for me, it's been a journey. I'm an educator by heart. My whole family, my parents, they are both teachers. My grandmother was the first teacher at her small town in Galicia, a small region in the northwest of Spain. And MIT brings that together with state-of-the-art research and innovation. And in that sense, I've been working in logistics automation and technology now for almost 10 years. And the other big research line that we have is cybersecurity for supply chains. And it's very related to the technology transformation, because at the end of the day, once you have more and more technologies deployed across supply chains, you need to have them safe. For that, cybersecurity is one of the major challenges that we are now also doing a lot of work in it. And that's me.
Awesome. All right, well, let's start with some future perspective. So it's 2050. You're reflecting on a breakthrough that you've helped with. What is that breakthrough? What problem did it finally solve? Let's start with you, Miguel.
Sure. So going back to cyber, we are actually launching a new initiative in a couple of months on cybersecurity for supply chains. And if you ask me, hopefully that's something that we get solved by then. I think this is still going to be a big challenge because we are going to be deploying more technologies, and AI is going to be a big part of that. But the idea of having really resilient supply chains, that when something goes wrong or goes south, they can come back up fast and as robust as they were before, that is something that we would love to see. Because in the last 5 to 10 years, and probably for you guys, the numbers are hard to envision, but cybercrime is through the roof. And last year, the estimates go from $2 trillion to $10 trillion. But even if you take an average, $6 trillion of cybercrime impact worldwide would be the third largest country by GDP, just right after the US and China. So the challenge is huge. And the idea is, how do we actually protect physical operations from that? Because for many years, we thought about cyber only on the digital layer. But now that we have more and more technologies deployed in physical supply chains, it's impacting our physical operations more than ever too. So being able to build that robustness and resilience in supply chains would be a dream for us.
Yeah, given some discussions that have happened this week, particularly on combating organized retail crime, I think that's also of great interest, is just, right, how do we take a lot of the fraud and bad actors out of the supply chain? Lisa, what about you? What breakthrough and what problem did it solve?
Oh, Lord, I only have to pick one. Biomanufacturing, I think I'm going to do a combo deal. It's biomanufacturing crammed into microfactories, deployed on-prem where waste is. These are the convergence of the physical world producing new primary data sets that have never existed before is such a yummy, yummy problem and opportunity, which will basically unfudge our planet through biomaterials. Everything that we have that's made through toxic means needs to be remade so that we can, continue to exist on this planet. It's kind of a big deal. I would like for that to happen, and I'm investing intentionally to make sure it does.
It's really interesting when you think about circularity being predicated upon extending the usable life of things, and how we're trying, even today, and maybe some Horizon 1 attempts to reintroduce spent materials back into supply chain and back into packaging, and this is taking it to quite like a scientific nerd level.
I think both need to happen, because I don't trust that it takes a long time to change human behavior.
Yes.
But if we can create better materials that are inherently biodegradable and compostable, people are lazy. Give them the easiest path to do the right thing at parity or cheaper, and they'll do it.
For sure. Frederik, what about you? What breakthrough and what problem did it solve?
I hope that by 2050 we'll have automated the dirty, dull, and dangerous jobs across supply chains, and the only way to do that is through automation and robotics. So we've been investing heavily in the space for the last 12 to 18 months in particular, because now the hardware as well as the software have converged, and the term physical AI is now actually pretty well known and established. And I was just with two of our portfolio companies this week in the Bay Area, Maven Robotics and Dyna Robotics. Dyna is already deployed here in Vegas, as well as in New York, where they have a robot folding napkins for a large national restaurant chain, and they are already hitting human performance. And it might sound simple to fold napkins, but for a robot, teaching that is highly, highly complex, especially if you're doing that for pretty much 24/7. And when we visited that lab, my colleague Harvey Williams likened it to seeing the first Model T roll off the assembly line, where it was such a important moment in time for at-scale manufacturing, and seeing these semi-humanoid robots actually solving real-world challenges and seeing it so early on in the process was a pretty meaningful and profound sight to see.
It's interesting because when people think 25 years is so far away, but I remember some site visits I did maybe about 7 years ago where the concept of the grasping and that kind of dexterity in robots, they were doing training, 3 and 4 years worth of training of just picking up objects out of a box and putting them back down. This is the kind of commitment it takes to actually deliver that. And now, not only have you just impressed everybody with the supply chain solution, but Laundry Day got way better. So I'm really looking forward to that. One other question I want to ask before we go to the first audience poll. You've probably got some skepticism in this room. I think from your answers to question 1, I imagine there's people sitting there going, not even going to happen. That's okay. That's the joy of innovating. But what's something you think people are doubting right now, 2026? We see a lot of what's being worked on in the future of supply chain. We're like, there's just no way that's going to happen. I shared with some of you all, a few years ago, talking to some senior leaders in companies about things like circularity and machine learning and AI. Was like, they're there. You go have fun with that science project. But Frederik, what's something you think people are doubting today that's actually going to, be a big breakthrough for 2050?
To state the obvious, I think people are doubting the AI hype, right? Like, is it real? Is it hype? Is it somewhere in between? I think time will tell, but we're very bullish on it. I actually just got a text from a founder in the ecosystem that they just got Mythos, the new Anthropic model, unlocked for their team, and within 12 hours, they blew through their entire annual AI budget, which shows you that if you leave it unchecked, it can very, very quickly burn a lot of cash. But they're still using it, right? There's now guardrails around it and a couple better checks and balances, but they're still very much saying that the value is here, right? So until it is really deployed at scale across the enterprise, we probably still need a few years, but it's definitely not a trend that you should sleep on.
Anything else being doubted today that either of you think will be table stakes in 2050?
I think trustless materials, and I'll define that because obviously we want to trust our materials, so put it in the context of like blockchain and crypto are trustless systems. Our bill of materials are flawed. Any data that's input by humans is flawed. The only thing that can't lie is a physical object. So being able to scan a physical object, whether it's your raw material, a finished converted good, or a compounded material, you need to know what is actually in that thing. And there are genetic markers and tracers and scanners and spectrophotometry that is going to make it mandatory at every step of the value chain to be able to scan something and say, yep, this actually is what the bill of materials said it should be.
Yep. Miguel?
Yeah, so building on what Frederik mentioned before, of, physical AI and smart robots, I do want to think about the humanoid robots in 2050, because, I mean, it's a hot take maybe, but I don't think we are going to have a humanoid by 2050. But what we are going to have, for sure, is a bunch of very smart robots that are purpose-built, task-specific, and doing something very, very well. Which we already had, the typical kind of like fixed rule type of robot in manufacturing and so on. But with artificial intelligence, what you can have is something a little bit more flexible than that can adapt a little bit more to a still controlled environment. And we're seeing a lot of deployments nowadays already in logistics, like the warehouse space, manufacturing plants, and so on, that are very, very promising. And the use case is already there. I mean, we're already seeing that. So definitely that's going to scale. Now, really having a humanoid, something that can move like us and perform like us in uncontrolled environments, like these kind of videos that you see of humanoids in a home, walking around, kids, things like that, that's a whole different level, because there are so many things that can happen that you cannot really predict for everything. That is, for me, something that we might not see, but purpose-built robots, very smart ones, we are definitely going to see a transformation in this space for sure.
I like to give people some context of autonomous vehicles. When I was at Carnegie Mellon, in 1991, they had already had self-driving cars roaming around campus for 13 years. Yeah. So just to give you some sense of how long it takes for something like that to actually come to market, we have Waymo, and is everyone else driving around in fully autonomous vehicles yet? Not quite.
Yep, it takes a long time, and it takes kind of dedicated passion way far ahead of the curve to do that. Let's go to the first audience question. I want to look at, there are probably some must-wins for people sitting in this room, and we may not have given you the right choices, but you can pick from what's there. Which of these wins most matters to you? Zero waste, zero fraud, instant recalls, frictionless cross-border trade, which I think trustless at many levels is required for that, or verified sustainability claims, another element where this notion of binding the physical and the digital together and having the digital be able to certify through a distributed method, which is really what I think you're saying by blockchain. It's a distributed method for verification, but it becomes self-evident and doesn't require kind of these federated overhead systems. Yeah. But, well, there you go, Miguel. They're picking up on zero fraud. So and the notion of cyber, because cyber in the pure sense of data is one thing, but cyber as it ties to supply chain is something really important that I don't think can be overstated for people sitting in this room.
No, 100%. I mean, and unfortunately, it's something that we need to tackle because it's a growing concern. So yeah, I mean, I totally agree with the audience, of course, that's definitely the main challenge that we need to face in the coming years.
Yeah, well, in addition to that, I mean, I imagine you've probably already faced some setbacks whether it's in your career and the current experiments that you're running. So let's talk a little bit about some of the challenges that we see kind of getting to these 2050 achievements. What bottlenecks are we going to face, and then what is it that will ensure that we can remove that by 2050? So Lisa, we'll start with you on this one.
Ooh, bottlenecks. I think collaboration has been a huge bottleneck. Industries all thinking that you're a special snowflake and you need, my context is fibers to finish soft goods is my network of expertise. I'm like, it's yarn. You all have the same freaking cotton jersey. Your yarn is one twist off from that person's yarn. You're not special. If you all could get, your twists to be within, standards, you could bring down the cost for everyone. The same goes for circularity. Like, we all need to collaborate, but we have coalitioned ourselves to death. And the billions of dollars that have been put into these coalitions and white papers, I'm like, just do the thing. Support the small businesses that are on the front lines of doing the thing, doing the hard work. I'd rather see money go into small businesses that are really the subs, that all of the primes and all of your tier ones are getting their quality data from. They don't have the infrastructure, they don't have the digitalization. So if we can get collaboration to support the small businesses that are the backbone of our entire society, that would be great.
Given that zero fraud came up as the top answer, and right, you're focused a lot on improving security as we move forward, what do you think as a bottleneck to kind of getting over some of what's standing in our way today? Like, where are we going to be in 25 years? Like, what do we got to get out of the way to get there?
Actually, I'm going to go back to what Lisa mentioned before. We were having a conversation, like the backstage, because there's a lot of myopic management, and that's part of human behavior nowadays. And for instance, when it comes to cyber, when you go to a company, and you can think about any kind of big disruption or risk out there, it's very, very hard to convince management to really invest on something that you don't know that you're going to have a return in the next quarter. Mm-hmm. And that's, at the end of the day, Wall Street. You need to present your results. The CEO has certain KPIs that they need to follow, which is usually the quarterly results at Wall Street and the stock price. That's it. So really making an investment on something like cyber or another kind of resilience for the supply chain, it's actually still very hard to justify, even though the 10-year long-term kind of vision still makes total sense. Because if you suffer, for instance, one of these large cyber attacks, we're talking about before that the scale of these modern attacks is crazy. I mean, some of the companies, and all this is public information, I'm not disclosing anything, but Jaguar Land Rover, UNFI here in the US, Asahi in Japan, it's a global threat, and it's hundreds of millions of dollars in losses just with one single attack. And actually, small and medium-sized companies, when something like this happens to them, they go out of business because they don't even have the cash to survive for a couple of months without operating. And so really changing the way we actually manage organizations, but I don't know if that's actually going to happen ever, because it's part of human behavior and how we think about the next day and solving our day-to-day problems. But it's definitely a challenge when it comes to really think about resilience long term.
Frederik, what do you think is a hidden bottleneck?
I don't know if it's that hidden, but I think a huge bottleneck is interoperability. Because when I talk to some of our Fortune 500 clients, oftentimes they don't even have their own systems, even if it is the same ERP, but they just have a couple dozen instances around the globe that they're not even able to share data with one another in that setting. Now, if we are able to solve that and actually have all the different systems, as well as then your DCs, your factories, the hardware there, communicate, I think it would unlock a tremendous amount of value that just today is in plain sight and nobody really knows how to do it just because the data isn't being shared effectively, and then you also don't have any insights into what to do to solve the problem.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, I think some of what Lisa said too around materials telling their own story might help with some of that as well. It's so funny, I always talk about this rise of the protocols because we're in the middle of MCP, UCP, and A to A is one of the things that came up, agent to agent protocol. And I'm like, A to A was application to application back when I was starting my career in supply chain. So acronyms are shifting as well. I want to hear a little bit from the audience. I thought what was very interesting is two of you What you were talking about are sort of human bottlenecks, and your point around interoperability, system bottlenecks. So we have a question for the audience of these choices. Which barrier do you think is hardest to overcome? Data quality regulation, legacy technology, or trust? And one of the interesting, I think, is about legacy technology, because we talk about tech debt. I just don't even think there's a way to get out of it. Like you will constantly need to iterate, innovate, and develop your tech. But I can't say I'm particularly surprised by the #1 answer from this audience. But I also think, Frederik, it speaks to your point around interoperability, because data doesn't flow well even inside the four walls, let alone outside the four walls. And Lisa, you're bringing up the point around data sets that haven't even been defined before. So defining the data set is one challenge. And we were in our last panel session talking about data models for sharing claims and certifications, which was also something new and novel just a few years ago, that nobody was thinking about how to share those in a scalable, interoperable way. So I think we can overcome these barriers, but Miguel, I don't know if you want to just lean in on data quality a little bit, because I think there's an AI implication there
Huge.
as well.
And actually, now that I'm thinking about the responses, because I'm surprised that it's such a big difference with the rest one. But from an AI perspective, the challenge is twofold, because you have first that the data quality of the inputs to any kind of AI system, because if the saying, whatever goes in, goes out. So if something bad goes in, something bad is going to come out. But the other one is that AI is still non-deterministic, and that's a reality, and people need to understand that. LLMs are something that works basically with probabilities. So it doesn't matter; it's part of their nature. They're never going to give you 100% accuracy when it comes to that. So a lot of the data that is going to come out of AI systems is something that we also need to start verifying and actually making sure that it's accurate enough. Because there are going to be hallucinations. That's always going to be there. Of course, we have now retrieval augmented generation. We have ways of minimizing that. But data quality is going to be huge from both sides. The input, any input to new AI tools that we are going to be deploying all over, but also the output of those AI tools. Even assuming that the input was good, the output is still something that we need to verify more than ever. Because it's something that is just a probability, so there is a chance that the LLM is actually lying to you. The LLMs do lie. Probably you guys have seen it already many times, but it's part of their nature. So. Yeah.
And there are regulations dropping soon, I think this summer, that are going to require verification of source citation for AI models to be able to assess where your data came from that helped you arrive at whatever decision or output you're claiming. So hallucinations are a real thing, but there are companies that are building to get ahead of verification. One is in my portfolio called Extrium. And their materials knowledge graph. They're going to create a score for every material that is in their knowledge graph that is backed by verified ResearchGate or peer-reviewed scientific journal articles. If there's patents filed, if there's supply chain bills of materials showing proof of shipment and customers, that this is a real thing, that you can trust in this material, because when it comes to things like your materials, critical materials, rare earth materials, a mistake is billions of dollars or even a life. So you cannot have hallucinations.
Yep, I agree. I think obviously getting data right it's something we've been wrestling with for the better part of the 3 decades I've been working in supply chain. And interoperability is a critical element. I also think being able to carry a piece of data from its inception all the way down and have it stay consistent. We have a lot of data augmentation, and I worry a little bit about non-determinism and how that might make decisions on pieces of data that aren't going to be in the best interest. My little mean streak right now is I love telling the AI when it's wrong. It's just very kind of
you got to be nice to the robots.
I like to do. But the best part is they've trained all the AIs now to be so nice to you.
Nice.
You're right, Melanie. I'm so sorry that I missed that when I was giving you your answer.
Let me be mean to you.
It's like that's patting yourself on the back. I want to get a little bit to the wall. So I loved our supply chain revolution wall and what everyone had to say about the wall this week. And I'd like to take just a few minutes to acknowledge some of the themes that came out of the wall and have each one of you take one of these themes and just chat a bit more about it. And I think, Frederik, some of your comments on automation, robotics, interoperability, the wall exposed from those over 50 ideas of the people that identification and traceability are kind of a headline in their own right. AI may be the headline today, likely not going to go away, but that core tracking level, item verification, the fidelity between digital content, the physical item, all the parties in a supply chain, what is it that you're kind of seeing in your space that maybe would cause this to become true for us in 2050, that identification and traceability are a headline as much as AI?
So there's one example that's already happening today of just taking a more traditional look at collecting data at the source and then also making business decisions from that data collection. A company called Genlogs is deploying a 3-camera system at highways around the country. They only need to deploy around about 100 to hit 80% coverage of over-the-road transportation. They're now at well over 93%. And I was speaking with one of their customers out in Phoenix, and he was spending around about $1 million a month to track either stolen or just lost equipment. So trucks and trailers. And through Genlogs, he was able to bring that down to 80, 90K a month. So an order of magnitude in terms of business impact, and all by deploying cameras on billboards, on highways. Pretty basic idea, but then what do you do with that data? All of a sudden unlocked millions in business value. The other example is a little bit more still far-fetched, and again, hopefully we'll get there by 2050, but Jim Harding, he sold DOS to Bill Gates back in the day. He calls it himself the worst business deal ever because he only sold it for $1 million and no royalties. He also then helped Jeff Bezos build different parts of Amazon Marketplace. So like Seattle Tech Royalty, his newest thing is a company called Autonoma, which is the vision is to build the Paranet. So basically a layer even above the internet that then is that interoperability. So that every machine, every device, every data source is speaking the same language, it's standardized, and you are enabling a seamless economy where there is not even really a human in the loop. He's not there yet, but I thought that was like a really forward-looking vision, and I do think that is one thing that we can achieve by 2050.
Good place for GS1 to play, I think. The second theme, AI remains a dominant force, no surprise there, but not just as the autonomy or the productivity that AI brings, but AI as an augmentation to me as a human, a participant. Like AI becomes alternative Melanie, and not like the movie Multiplicity where you have the degrading capability of the clone. But Miguel, what are some of your thoughts on AI as a dominant force and a participant in 2050?
So, I mean, you've heard me a lot about the risk of AI. I mean, I'm working cyber, so I have to think of, about what can go wrong and how the bad guys think. But it's true that, I mean, AI, and for me specifically, AI agents are definitely going to be a huge revolution. We started to see them, deployed. And for digital workflows, traditional, admin tasks and so on, it's really amazing. I mean, because to be honest, it's something that we can deploy very fast with very low risk, and then you can have a human in the loop, basically just verifying, final steps for certain things. In procurement, they're being deployed already in multiple companies out there, and the technology is very promising when it comes to that. But then the other side is like, okay, if AI starts taking over, our jobs, like what are we going to be doing, like at some point, right? And again, I think actually what we're going to be doing is thinking more and dedicating more time to things that matter most, right? If you can automate some of these seamless tasks that so far were more kind of like mechanical, what you're going to need to have is a very good foundational knowledge of what really matters in the business to judge what comes out of that AI. Because even if we have AI agents out there, for most of the decisions, I think you guys mentioned, sometimes there is a lot at stake. Might be, a medical decision, a financial decision. You're not just going to have the AI, going through the whole thing. You might have the AI doing part of the search process, and maybe, coming to a stage when the human can just, say yes or no to that, or adjust something. But to really make that final decision, you need a lot of knowledge to judge what's coming out of the AI. So I think we are not at that point yet. We are thinking, okay, AI is going to take over, but in my opinion, I think we are going to just be augmented, and we are going to have to actually learn more, of course, go to university a lot more. So I think it's actually going to be a transformation for the world, because we are going to have a lot more knowledge of everything to be able to judge what comes out of AI.
Yeah, agreed. And the third theme, which I think goes right to the heart of some of what you've been saying, production becomes distributed, proximate, and sovereign. Mm-hmm. So maybe build a little bit on what you're talking about with microfactories. What does distributed production and sovereign production mean? I think A, to the supply chain, but B, to the consumer, because at the end of the day, we're all consumers in the room as well.
Yeah. On-demand fashion, the ultimate customization that every consumer wants is something that actually fits you. Size is just a construct of having to produce volume. Everything used to be made bespoke, and you'd have a tailor and measure you, and all of that, the systems to automate getting your measurements, to actually have see it rendered on your body, to see it digitally print the textile with your custom print, cut and sewn while you wait in a store or go in the mall to dinner and have it brought to you with a bot, while you're having dinner. All of this is part of our future. The future that I love is tied to AI. We're going to have our supply chains self-correct based on demand, based on risk, based on consumer preferences, and you'll have microfactories that are either built on-prem with local materials, because the blueprints are created so that they're using ubiquitous materials, and you can literally have an on-demand mothership shipping container microfactory extracting your raw materials from biomass, and then another shipping container, Simply Fiber, another one of my portfolio companies, in a shipping container, takes the liquid cellulose from the mothership shipping container and molds and processes it, and out the other end pops PPE on demand, because we have another pandemic or whatever. They're doing CPG, packaging, eventually apparel. They're doing molded car interiors for Kia. So really, when you think about a self-creating value chain that can move and respond in the physical world based on where demand is, that is not how supply chains looked yesterday, but it will be how they're built in 2050.
But I would say even if we accomplish half of that by 2050, what you've clearly set up is like 2 future generations and a lot of work for them to do. Mm-hmm. We had a couple of provocative ideas come up from the wall as well. So we have our final poll that we want to give the audience. These are hyperbolic possibilities. Maybe they're real, maybe they're not real by 2050, but we wanted to have the audience share harvesting produce on the moon. Do we believe it could happen? Or that notion of shrinking the supply chain to nothing, so making it as big as possible or as small as possible. Let's see what our audience believes, and then I'd love to.
Molecular supply chains.
I actually, though, thought, Miguel, you had a great perspective on
the loser one.
Yes.
yeah, but I can still
produce
share.
on the moon. What might that look like? Share with the audience.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not sure about the produce part, but definitely like moving stuff to space is something that we're already doing with data centers. We were talking about it before. And that's happening. But even manufacturing at some point. And this is more from a sustainability perspective, connecting to the panel that we had here before, GS1 with the Amazon folks. At the end of the day, we only have one Earth. That we know. That's a certainty. So the idea of manufacturing is the main polluter of this planet, together with transportation. If we're able to move part of our manufacturing facilities at some point to space, where we are going to free a space to just have more gardens, forests, and I don't know, places to have fun. And of course, that's a long-term view, but if you, I don't know, thinking for humanity, I think it would be a pretty cool thing. And I don't think it's going to be 2050, but as a long-term plan, I think for us as humans, it's something that we should be thinking about, moving a lot to space, because at the end of the day, the Earth is for us to enjoy, but manufacturing is something we can do anywhere. And there is a lot of advantages also being in space with the cooling. It's very cold up there, so you wouldn't need it. Then, of course, moving things up and down, but with fusion energy, there's a lot of advancements when it comes to energy, and that could also be an enabler for this. So, yeah, I'm excited about that part.
Well, Frederik alluded earlier to the first Model T rolling off the line and the notion of the assembly line. So maybe it's like an assembly line of supply chain delivery coming from the moon back here. But Frederik, is there going to be room in space for this stuff, given I was just at your summit a few weeks ago and got to hear you talk about your data center company that just is really going like gangbusters. Will there be room in space for anything but data centers?
There's a lot of space in space.
Okay.
Thank you.
That might be the most profound. There's a lot of space in space. I'm glad that you shared that. But Lisa, maybe looking at the other side, because it was clear that the audience felt that this notion of on-demand in my home, when I need it, when I want it, it's really taking what we talked today about meet the consumer where she's at, where she wants, when she wants.
Yeah.
This is sort of like next level. You think that's truly possible by 2050? And maybe for what types of products will we see this happen first?
Yeah, I think, we already have 3D printers that people have in their homes. It's a matter of what types of materials, and if you can have multi-filament substrates in a single 3D printer, and there are some companies and innovators that are doing that and coming up with really innovative ways to change the filaments using, again, centrifuge to spin away the waste so you don't have to reset and strip away the waste. I'm getting nerded out on 3D printing, but the ability to have multiple materials all comes down to us reusing ubiquitous, localized, constraint-based waste streams. And so that is the ultimate use case for space. You don't want to have waste. Waste is an asset, so it's a design flaw if you're having waste, and we need to really think about everything from first principles, which is one of the reasons why we're called refashioned. It's a paradigm shift. To refashion something is to reinvent, rethink, reimagine a new use or way of doing something. And so if we really apply first principles to the way everything is made, there should be no waste, and we can use those assets, those molecules, to rebuild new physical things, whether they're PPE or medicine in space, fuel. You're going to need to have a way to produce new rocket fuel in space, and we invested in a company called Carbon Bridge that can do that using the CO2 on the surface of Mars to create rocket fuel.
Very interesting. Turning waste into worth, that's something we've been looking at GS1 for a few years as well. I really want to thank you all for joining me on this. Being forward-looking and engaging is hard to do. I think you've covered such a broad spectrum of topics, and I hope the audience took away at least one provocative idea that they might go investigate a little bit further. Please join me in appreciating the time spent by this panel today.
Thank you.